Welcome to the show. I'm Dom Dumas, and I'm in Bangkok. I'm also the official podcaster of the SHL. Scott Murphy, the Vice President of the CM Hockey League, Episode 54. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
So, first, I want to know, how long have you been in Thailand?
Well, I've been working here for 25 years, but to be honest, it seems like I just arrived yesterday. And did you say this is the 54th episode? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Of the SHL
podcast? No, of the Dom Dumas podcast.
Okay. That's still pretty impressive. And when did you actually start that?
I would say about almost 2 years ago. I have some time off during, like, when I go on holiday and stuff like that.
So, one every 2 weeks or so?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, pretty good. And how many of those do you think are SHL related?
Let's see. So far I have 1, 2, 3, just podcasts. You would be number 5.
Oh, I thought you'd done a lot.
I do a lot of interviews and I do a lot of news stuff.
Oh, okay.
But those are separate, and I do put the news on the end of my podcast.
Sure.
But actually having members of the CM Hockey League, I've had John, Christian, DJ, and Michael White. Oh, and Lance. Sorry.
I thought you had one more. Okay. I guess it's all those after the game interviews that I'm getting confused with. Okay, well, good stuff. I know everybody looks forward to seeing your reports after all the games and reading up on all your reports. So it's been a great privilege to have you with us, the SHL.
It's a lot of fun. So, and I learn a lot from you. So.
Okay, well, I thought we'd do a little switcheroo today. I know I kind of came here on a ruse. I know the idea was to interview me, but since you've interviewed so many people, I thought we'd turn it around a little bit, and I would interview you instead.
Okay.
To get the SHL audience to learn a little bit more about you and what brought you here, why you stay here, and how this whole idea for the SHL podcasts came about and how it's growing.
Okay.
So, are you okay with that? It's going to be all about you.
Okay, that's fine. I've done this a few times, so.
Okay. All right. Well, just let's start with the basics. Like,
okay.
Where are you from?
I'm from Minnesota in the United States.
But where in Minnesota?
Roseau, Minnesota.
Roseau, Minnesota. Okay.
It's like a little town 10 minutes from Canada.
Yeah, I know, the Broughton brothers.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So, at what age did you start playing hockey?
I started playing hockey at about 4 years old. I started skating at 2.
And who was your biggest influence back then? Like who helped you? You know, who brought you skates and who pushed you around the rink? Who
that would have been my father.
Your dad.
Yeah.
So was he? If you had to say, would he have been your biggest influence?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
And did your dad play at
yes, he did.
Reasonably high level when he was younger?
He tried out for the '72 Olympic team, made it, but decided not to go.
He made the team?
That's what he says.
Okay, still, well, that's.
I was born the year before, so he decided not to go.
What college would he have been playing for back then?
He went to the University of Minnesota for about a semester.
At Duluth?
No, in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. All right, wow. Well, that's pretty impressive, because that would have been only 8 years before the Miracle on Ice team.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big deal.
Yeah. Well, he played a lot in Canada and stuff, so, I mean, he's from Warroad.
Right, where Henry Boucher's from.
Yes, sir. They're good friends, actually.
Wow, Henry was a pretty good player back in the day.
Yeah.
So, how early on did you become passionate about hockey? Like, when did it become something that you wanted to do? And when you were young, did you want to become a professional hockey player?
When I was young, I absolutely wanted to be a professional hockey player. I wanted to go to university and play college hockey. The big thing, obviously, growing up in Minnesota, I wanted to be a part of the state high school hockey tournament. Right. I ended up moving before I had that opportunity. But even the team that I was playing for, they didn't. I don't think they've ever made it to the high school championship or even to the state finals. So, but growing up, I was quite passionate about playing hockey. I'd say the last 2 years of hockey, I lost my love for hockey. It stopped becoming fun. And because of you guys at the SHL, watching you guys, talking to you guys, getting to know you guys, I realized that hockey was absolutely supposed to be fun.
Well, going back a bit, where did you move to?
Hudson, Wisconsin.
Okay. Still a good hockey state, but did you have a favorite player growing up? Was there a player that you said your dad was friends with Henry Boucher, but was there a player that you kind of idolized, let's say in the North Stars? And were the North Stars your favorite team?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm a Minnesota fan through and through, so Minnesota North Stars, Minnesota Wild. Growing up, I would say one of my favorite players, there was always Neil Broughton.
Sure.
And also Dino Ciccarelli.
Okay.
So
you remember that team that lost to the Islanders in the Stanley Cup?
Yes.
No, still make the Cup. That was, I think, the second Cup. I think that was 1981. If I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
They had Brian Bellows playing for you as well, I think.
One of the cool things about one of the reasons I liked Neil Broughton is because my mother babysat him and his brothers.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I mean, I've told you the story that he came here and played against us in Chiang Mai a number of years ago, right? Which was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Wisconsin.
Yes.
And then where did you end up eventually going to university? Where did you study?
I didn't go to university. I went to join the Navy.
Oh, you joined the Navy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And then were you in for 4 years, or did you?
I was in for 4 years, yeah.
And then after you got out of the Navy?
After I got out of the Navy, I moved to Pennsylvania to be with a woman who became my first wife.
Okay.
And I had 2 kids with her.
Okay. Now, are they all grown up now?
My son's 14, my daughter is 17. They've got birthdays coming up here soon. So.
And did they play hockey?
No, my son wants to get into football, but it's been a bit of a struggle for him to do that. So.
American football?
Yes, American football.
Okay. All right, so I know a lot of ground to cover here, but you that first family, did you raise them in Pennsylvania?
Yes, sir.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So, without getting too personal, what kind of happened to make you end up come to Thailand? Like, fill that gap for us.
Well, to be nothing against my ex-wife, I think we shouldn't have gotten married. I'm a firm believer now that although I did the right thing in helping to take care of my kids, I shouldn't have gotten married.
Right.
We're better friends now.
Right.
But then near the end of my relationship with my ex-wife, things had been rocky for a long time, and I met Tracy on a discussion forum for one of our favorite authors, and we started talking.
And this was how many years ago?
This would be actually 13 years ago.
And am I correct that she was here at the time?
She was here at the time.
You were in the States?
Yes, sir.
So she's the reason that you came here?
Yes.
Okay, so she's been at this same school teaching for a number of years?
She's been with the British Council for 11 years.
Sorry, British Council. Okay. So when you came to meet Tracy, did you have a job already arranged, or did you get it once you arrived here?
I came here, and then I did the CELTA, which is the Certified English Language Teacher to Adults, and then I started teaching English.
Sorry, say that again? It's
CELTA.
CELTA, okay.
Which is the Certified English Language Teacher to Adults.
Okay.
And then I did that, which is a 4-week intensive course.
Right.
And then I followed that up with doing the Young Learner Extension, which is it can be a 2-week intensive course, but I did it extensively over about 2 months.
Okay. And
then I started working in schools after that.
And this was about a decade ago?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm correct, you've been with the same school now for 5 years?
About 5 years, yes, sir.
Teaching grades 1 through 3?
Yes.
And are you teaching them English?
I teach them, mostly I teach math.
Okay.
And then one class I also teach English.
Any North Star trivia ever?
No. Whenever I tell people that I do stuff for like the CM Hockey League or playing hockey, everybody's like, "There's hockey in Thailand." I'm like, "Yeah, there's been it for a long time." So,
but not having been trained as a teacher, that's fine. There's a lot of people that haven't been. But did you find it hard then learning how to become a teacher?
Well, I've always been, in every job that I've held throughout my working career, I have been a trainer of some sort.
Oh. Okay.
And then I love writing, and I write short stories and I write poems and things like that. And so when I was coming out, Tracy was like, well, since you enjoy writing so much,
right,
and you enjoy training people, because I've always enjoyed doing that, she said, why don't you try being a teacher? And at first I was like, no, that's not going to happen. She goes, okay, well, do it. Start off and then do that until you find something different. And my first day on my CELTA course, on my teacher training course, we were in front of students, and I had the first 10 minutes, and I fell in love with it.
So is it the most fun you've had for a job?
Yeah, I could say that. I mean, I've always loved waiting tables because it's an interesting experience. It's something new every day. But yeah, I love teaching.
But this that we're doing now, this is right now. It's a hobby for you.
This is absolutely a hobby.
But I mean, do you think if it became your full-time job that you would lose a little bit of the enjoyment for it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, because I mean, when I was in high school, I was a part of the radio station at our school, and I loved doing that. And that was like it was volunteer, but it was like when they said, "Okay, you've got to do it." I went and did it, and I love it, and I love doing this. I don't do it as often as I should, obviously, but I mean, I get busy. So, but if I could turn this into something full time, I'd love it.
54 podcasts, just a few actually with hockey. What do most of them deal with?
Just anything that interests me. I've done podcasts on music. I've done some on books. I've done it on a few on professional wrestling. I've done on movies. I've had a few people on the show. Some people from the CM Hockey League. I've had a guy on for fitness and the same guy on again for health. So
do you do it whenever the spirit moves you, or do you try to stick to a regimen where you do one every 2 weeks?
I try to do it like every week. It just again, I went to the States and I get busy sometimes and stuff. So.
And I guess now that you become a journalist, really. Now, again, I mean, you're kind of falling into these things. Like, some people go and they study for years, and just like you kind of became a teacher, you now become a journalist. And, And tell us about that journey. How's that been?
Well, it's been an incredible experience, actually. I mean, I went to a Bangkok Ice Hockey League game.
Right.
And I did a vlog about it, and I also did a podcast about it, and I sent it to the Bangkok Ice Hockey League.
How did you know about that?
I looked up ice hockey in Thailand.
Okay.
And I think that came up before the Flying Frogs did in the Google search. So.
Okay, that's good.
And I found out there was a game on the day after Tracy was coming home from England, and I asked her, "Do you want to go to a game?" And she's like, "Where is it?" I said, "Central Ramen 9. It's free." And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And we watched 2 games. She enjoyed it. And like I said, I did a vlog, I did a podcast about it, and then I sent that off to the BIHL in case they were interested in it or whatever, just so they could, if they wanted to.
Who did you send it to?
The email address on the Bangkok Ice Hockey League's website, and then somehow Patrick Lumbeck got a hold of it.
Oh, okay.
And then he sent it to John and said, "Hey, this guy's talking about us."
Okay.
And John contacted me and told me all about the CM Hockey League, the SHL. And asked me if I'd be interested in doing news for you guys. And I was like, yeah.
And how I mean, you'll be going to year 2 now, but how was that in retrospect, how was that first year?
At first I was a bit nervous. I didn't know how
you didn't seem nervous.
I didn't know how the players, because I'm like this guy who suddenly shows up with a camera and a microphone. How are they going to take that? Okay. But most of them were pretty open about it. So, and that made it, and they were really friendly. They're a great group of guys. Made it really easy for me, so.
You've got a lot more responsibility in this new year.
Yes.
Now, obviously, with the family, with the work, I mean, is time management a concern for you, or how do you deal with that?
Well, when I set a task, I do everything in my power to finish that task. If it's over a week, I kind of have an idea how long something will take, unless obviously something gets added to it.
Right.
But I do my full-time job, and then in my spare time, whatever it is that my extra task is, I work on that. So,
now, of the interviews you've done and the short post-game interviews again, were there any real characters or funny moments that stood out for you of the people that you've talked to about the league? Are there certain people that you?
Yeah, Lance is such a character. He's such a card.
What is it about? Sorry, what is it about Lance that makes him a little bit?
He's a goaltender. That's the biggest thing. And every goaltender I've known who's really been average or better than average, they're a little bit crazy.
So have you talked to Gabor about coming on?
I have, and he's afraid his English isn't good enough.
Okay, let's get him drunk. It'd be fun. Okay, well, I don't. You must pursue that. I don't think that
would be a lot of fun. And Brad is also he's.
You could bring Gabor's kids with them, maybe.
Oh, that would be funny.
They could help. So, sorry, you said Brad as well?
Brad is really good. With the short interviews, I've done 2 with him, and I'd love to get him on a show. It's just, he's very... I feel like there's some stories there that that would be interesting to get out of him. I could be completely wrong, but...
And, I mean, after the game, what type of questions are you asking these guys? I know you've only got a couple minutes, but what are you usually trying to get out of them? What kind of information?
I look at, like, what they felt helped them, either, like, if they got a hat trick, how they felt doing that, if it was the first one. Like, I remember when Lance got his shutout. Yeah. That was the first one in the CM Hockey League, and I brought that up, and he was like, really? Wow. So...
Okay.
And I remember when Yoni got his hat trick, and I talked to him about that, and he was really excited. And he was one of the things I loved about his interview, his first one, and he was the first one who got, Paul, I think, got the first one. But when Yoni got his hat trick, the first thing he did is he thanked everybody else on the ice that helped him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of nice.
He said if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be able to do what he did. And he every time I interviewed him, it was very similar to that.
Well, that's very good. Good on Yoni. That's very interesting. I'm just going to change gears a little bit here. I mean, you've obviously lived in different places, not just in the U.S., but it's been at sea. What do you enjoy most about living in Bangkok? And on the flip side, maybe what are some of the frustrating things you find about living here, especially compared to where you grew up and where you're from?
Okay. Well, I'm from Roseau, but I didn't grow up in Roseau.
Right.
I grew up in the Twin Cities, a very metropolitan area. I love the city of Bangkok in general. It's a very active city there, and one of the things that's great about it is there's little pockets where it's just like a little town, like where we're at right now. Once we get into my area, it's just a little town, and I love that aspect of it as well.
Okay.
One of the things that frustrate me is, I'd have to say, feign ignorance, where they pretend like they don't understand something is happening.
Okay. When you say they, you mean the Thai
people, yes.
Okay.
And
because I actually get that from a lot of foreigners as well.
Yeah, I do. I get that from foreigners as well. But I mean, there's for example, if I'm taking the SkyTrain and you hear the loudspeaker and the announcements, and they say, do this, do this, do this, and not all of the Thai people, but the majority of them kind of act like it doesn't actually include them, so they just do what they want. So, but
okay, yeah, I mean, I guess there's always some cultural quirks that need.
Yeah, well, I mean, foreigners do that a lot too. So yeah. I've been known to do that a few times. So, especially when I get really frustrated, it's like, you know what, I don't care anymore.
You know, we talked about a little bit about you growing up and Neil Broughton being a favorite. Just recently, you got to interview Johnny Oduya, who's just signed with Ottawa. Tell us a little bit about that, and do you have a favorite hockey player now, and do you still follow the Wild quite regularly?
Oh, I do follow the Wild very, very regularly. Okay. My 2 favorite Wild players right now, I'd have to say, are Mikael Granlund and Nino Niederreiter.
Uh-huh. No, interesting you don't pick an American player, because there's usually a lot of good Americans.
There are very good Americans, but I watched Granlund, some of the stuff he did in the International Hockey Federation.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing, and I see he has a lot of potential, and this past season in particular, it really is starting to present itself. And I look at Nino Niederreiter, and I didn't know a lot about him, and I just kind of researched some about him in the off season. And every year he gets a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better.
Just re-signed at 5 years.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. And with meeting Johnny Oduya now,
you got to interview him. You got to interview him a couple of times and actually have dinner with him. So
yeah,
you actually did get to know him a little bit better than most people.
I think so. And he's such a humble guy. Yeah. He's so nice. He's so friendly. He seemed very appreciative of me wanting to interview him. I was super appreciative of him giving me the opportunity to do so. And you know, so he's like, right now, outside of Wild players, I'd say he's one of my favorite players.
Gotcha. That's good. That's nice to know. Just about the SHL, I mean, if you reflecting on year one, some of the neat things, and just some areas that you think that we could improve on, because everybody always wants to get better, and make their product a little bit better. But what do you think that we can do better, and how would you like to help us do that?
One of the things that I am doing right now was the website, and this was nothing against the person who originally developed the website. I felt it was very, very early 90s.
Sure.
And I'm working on that right now and helping making it better.
Okay.
I'd like to see have more time to sit down, even with like a 5 or 10 minute interview at the rink. Sit down with players between or before a game or after a game. I mean, absolutely do the Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game interviews, but like have a chance to highlight.
You're
a player.
filming the games, though, right?
I filmed one game last year.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, you're always in a rush to kind of get these guys as soon as they come off the ice.
Right.
But the game one guys, you could wait till they shower.
Absolutely.
And do that. So there's no real hurry with that.
No, there's no real hurry with that. Although I will be a bit busier this year
with
with doing the scorekeeping and stuff.
Right.
And the plan is to video a few of the games this year and see how that, and try and live stream them and see how that works out.
Sure. Now, would you be doing the commentary for that? Or?
No, we're going to start off with no commentary, just the game itself, and then.
Have you been watching the BIHL games?
I've been to a few of them.
Yeah, no, but they're taping a lot of them now and streaming them on Facebook.
Okay, I did not know that. So.
Okay, so it's interesting because unless you really, I guess if it's two really good teams like the Thunder and the Warriors, you'll watch it. But unless you have a friend or whoever, it's kind of tough to sit through the whole thing. I think commentary does definitely helps.
Yeah, it does absolutely. And that's again, like I said, something that. Just starting into it, we're just going to video the game, see what kind of response we get, if we can live stream them, and possibly if we can find somebody who's interested, either commentate during the game or do a commentary overlay when we re-release the game.
Sure, that would be good. And you don't necessarily have to do play-by-play.
No.
Just put you guys talking every once in a while and talk about what's going on. What about the players themselves? Were there certain players that kind of stood out for you because of skating ability or stick handling ability or just the way they played last year? Were there certain guys that just had a lasting effect on you that, you know?
Yeah, I'd have to say like Donnie Kerfoot.
Sure.
Phenomenal player for.
What do you think was special about Kerfoot? Like if you had to describe him to somebody, how would you describe what made Donnie a kind of...
He was very talented when it came to handling the puck. I watched him. He would do like moves, and very often, if there was a defender on him, he was by him before the defender knew what was going on. He was very talented in stick handling, and he wasn't a slow skater in anything in any way. So, which, like for example, Andy Bryan. Andy Bryan is a great hockey player, but he tends to do the same thing. So a lot of players are starting to learn how he's moving and stopping him. So.
Kerfoot used to seem to score at will.
Yeah, I remember there was a particular game where he got a penalty, and he's like, I am so angry right now. And he went out and scored a goal right out of the penalty box. It was just unbelievable.
Pretty rare talent, that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get, if he does come back, and there is a chance, you got to get him on the show because he has an incredible parallel story with Mike Richards.
Okay.
They grew up together, were actually born the same date, same year. They played on the same teams growing up, and they played against each other. And Richards went on to, he won the Stanley Cup, he won a Calder Cup, he won a gold medal, he's won everything really. But there's an argument that Donnie was actually a more talented player. It's just that Richards had an incredible eye for the game and incredible positional player.
Okay.
But anyway, there's a very interesting story between Donnie and Mike Richards that you should try to get if you ever get
Absolutely. And also, I think you told me he was on the ice with Johnny Oduya?
Yeah, I think you brought that up. That was kind of ironic that he actually was the winner of the first MVP award. And when Oduya was traded wasn't traded. When Atlanta relocated to Winnipeg, Johnny and Tobias Enstrom went out to play shinny with some local guys. And one of those local guys happened to be Donnie Kerfoot.
Wow.
Who then years later came to Bangkok, taught, and won the very first Johnny Oduya award. So that was a small
makes it a very small world.
Small world moment.
Mm.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But okay. So but overall, I know there's a lot of. You put an incredible amount of time and effort into this, and I know that John Shaknovsky, Christian Olsen, myself are very, very appreciative for all you do. And we are worried that, we don't want you to burn yourself out. But I mean, it's still, I'm hoping that it's still fun for you and you're still getting in charge out of it.
I absolutely do enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun to do. It's nice having the season, having this off, so I get a chance to go, okay, prepare myself, look at some of my old videos, and go, okay, what can I do better for next season? So, and I'm always trying to make it better. Like I've added the green screen, so it looks like I have a video TV and stuff like that, or a TV on there, so I can do videos and things like that. So.
Well, you've added an element that no hockey league in Thailand has ever had. I mean, we've never had podcasts and we've never had this, so I think it's definitely going to help with the exposure of the league. And we that's what the one thing people have said in the last little while is that our marketing has been, the Thais are doing a pretty good job of marketing to the Thais, but we've done a very good job of marketing to the broader.
Right, and I've got some family members who from the States that follow the SHL now.
Yeah,
so.
Well, no, it's interesting, and I think it will continue to grow. I mean, Christian and John have done a.
Well, don't count yourself out in that.
I brought the energy, but those guys dot the I's and cross the T's. I bring the energy and the ideas, but they're just organizational wizards. But it's just great that we couldn't have done this without you, and we want to keep improving and keep doing well.
That's my plan as well. All right, now I'd like to thank Scott for coming on my show, and it's been great working with you. I love it. So thank you very much for coming on and having me a part of the SHO. One of the things I like to do when I have a guest on is I like to have them do my Always Remember. Would you like to do my Always Remember today, Scott?
Give it a shot, Dom. Again, thanks again for having me. But I just wanted to say, life's just too short. We never know when we can go. We could go at any minute, any time, and just be the best you can be. And everybody has bad days. Try to understand that when one of your friends or family has one, and just try to be there for everybody and just try to be the best you can be and live every life to the fullest. Live every moment to the fullest. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Try to keep my mistakes to a minimum, but flub that one. So live life to the fullest.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Is that good?
That's good. Perfect. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye. Please rate my show or leave a comment or make suggestions of what you would like me to talk about. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Dom Dumas, on Twitter at Dom Dumas, or on Instagram, Dom_Dumas. Thanks a lot.